In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create a simple pop-up prototype like this in Adobe XD. To start designing the landing page, I added a rectangle the size of the artboard to place photos into as a background. At this point, I'm not entirely sure how the design will turn out, so I wanted to try a few different photos and see which would evolve and work for the design best. I quickly realized that a couple of them were far too busy for a background, so I just deleted them altogether. I'm using Book Club as the name and logo for this made-up company's landing page. I chose different typefaces to see what would suit the brand best. I knew that I wanted to either use a serif typeface or maybe a slab serif. This is what I do when I'm looking for a typeface. I will copy and paste the same words over and over in different typefaces and use that to compare and see which looks best. I really liked this photo with all of the books laying open as a background, and even tried to add a color overlay, but I still felt like the background was a little too busy, so I thought about adding a background blur. As a first option for the logo type, I used the Requiem typeface with small caps, which I felt gave it a nice, elegant, and scholarly feel to it, which is perfect for a book club and what I was going for. I pulled a dark blue from one of the books in this photo for the type color and started to play with adding more type and see how a potential lockup could unfold. I felt like this photo went more in the direction that I wanted to go with the design, so I ended up deleting the other design and just going with this direction. I wanted to try pairing potentially another typeface, especially for the CTA, maybe a sans serif, so I tried out a few different ones to see what might suit as a good pairing. In doing so, I ended up changing the main logo typeface to another one that I thought looked even better. I chose Hoffler Text, also the small cap version. This typeface has enough variation in fonts, which would help when it came to designing the hierarchy of the pop-up animation. I wanted to use a less dominating color for the background of the CTA, so I decided to go with a white. Sometimes I'll use opacity to see if I can get a tint of a color that I like, and then once I'm ready, I'll use the eyedropper to sample the color. That way I'm using an actual color and not an opacity. Now that the first screen of this flow is designed, it's time to design what happens when someone clicks on the Join Today button. So I expanded the shape of the oval CTA to fill most of the artboard as the pop-up. When you use the same shape and then use the auto animate feature in prototype mode, this will create a cool effect in your animation. Basically, the oval shape that is the CTA will grow into the large pop-up shape, but it has to be the same shape and not a new one that you create. As a button to click to submit for the form, I wanted to use an arrow. And we can't forget to design a way for someone to get out of the form, so creating an X by drawing a line, rotating it 45 degrees, and copying and pasting the line again and doing the same, but with negative 45 degrees. We also have to design the screen for when someone clicks the arrow submit button. For this one, it was simple. I just wanted some messaging that would inform the user that there was success in completing the form. So thanks for joining. We'll be in touch soon. Now it's time to switch into prototype mode and start linking these artboards together. First, click the home button so it turns blue on the first artboard, so we know that this is the beginning of the flow. Connect the Join Today CTA with the second artboard. Make sure for destination that it matches up with the artboard. Use the tap trigger and change the type to auto animate. I like to use ease in and out, but you can experiment to find what works best for you. And for now, let's keep it at 0.3 seconds, and when we test the prototype, we can adjust timing afterwards. Then we'll need to connect the X button on the second artboard back to artboard number 1. XD remembers your settings from the previous one, so we don't need to make any adjustments here. Then we'll connect the arrow button to artboard number 3, so that when someone presses the submit button, they'll get this new message. And then finally, we'll connect the X button on the third artboard back to the first artboard. Now let's press play and preview the animation. For me, the animations are a bit too fast, so this is where we need to adjust the timing. Remember how we used 0.3 seconds? Let's try increasing that to see how it looks. Okay, now it feels like the animations are taking a little bit too long. So let's go between and choose 0.6 seconds for the duration. That feels much better. So that's a basic pop-up animation, and if you wanted to, you can stop right there. But we're going to take it a step further by adding some hover animations to the arrow and the CTA on the landing page. In order to create a hover state, we need to select all the elements and press Command K or right-click and choose Create Component. This will change it from a blue bounding box to a green bounding box with a triangle in the top left-hand corner. Now you'll notice under Component on the top right-hand corner that we can press the plus sign to add a new hover state. Then we adjust the design to how we want it to appear when we hover. In this case, I want the arrow to turn to the same color as the Your Email text. Toggle back and forth from the default and hover state to make sure that it changes as you intend it to. Now let's do the same to the Join Today CTA. Select all the elements and press Command K to create a new component. Add a new hover state. For this one, I'll change the background color of the CTA shape to be the same gray as the Your Email text on the form field. Then switch to prototype mode. You'll notice there's a new blue line with this lightning bolt shape coming out of the Join Today button. That's to signify that there's a hover animation. We want to make sure that the other line that connects to the next artboard is coming from the same shape. Right now you'll notice how it's gray. So we'll delete that one and create a new one with the same settings that we used before. On the second artboard, when we hover over the arrow, you'll notice the same thing. A blue squiggly line with the lightning bolt, which signifies that there's a hover animation. And again, you'll notice that the old flow that we created, there's a gray squiggly line. So let's delete that one and create a new one, linking this component to the third artboard. And now let's press play to test our animation one last time to see the final flow. And that's how you create a simple pop-up animation prototype in Adobe XD. If you found this tutorial helpful, give it a like and subscribe for more. Leave a comment below on your thoughts on the final design or what you would like to see next.